Hey, my lovelies. I hope you're all safe and well. It's Mitch here. I'm just coming on to do another one of my questions and answers little videos for you because I've had quite a few people asking me to continue these. So I thought we would do them. Apologies if my eyes look like they're running. My hay fever is quite bad today, but I'm not complaining because it's been absolutely lush and lovely to see the sun. We need more of that. But yeah, my eyes are like, oh, a little bit. So the question that's kind of coming in. Oh, what I want to say as well, there's a couple of things. So the question that I want to talk about today is, you know, um, basically it's about being authentic and real as a reader. And one of the questions that keeps popping up is, will a reader ever tell you something bad? So I wanted to sort of tackle that question today, primarily. But I thought the theme of that is quite good because literally about half an hour before I sort of jumped onto this video, I saw a fellow medium doing, she's got a show tomorrow over in Frome, I think it is. And I've seen so many scam comments on Facebook about, we purchased tickets, we can no longer go, does anyone want to buy the tickets off us? Just to let you know, guys, these are mega big scams going on at the moment, and this is one of many reasons as to why I try and always have my ticket sales go via my website. So then if you did, want to sort of sell your tickets on, if you weren't able to go, we can literally do refunds and we can do transfers to the new names and stuff. So this is why it's really mega important that everything is always via my website and often other people's. So do make sure that if you are seeing those kind of messages, you're checking with the venues or with the medium direct that these things are legit before you hand over your money, because it would be awful to sort of hand over your money and then realize that you'd actually been conned and that there are no tickets and you can't go to the event, because it's happening a lot, not just with psychic shows, with tickets in general. But I'm seeing it loads and loads and loads. And I thought, like, with this video being about ethics in a sense, that's something to watch out for. So let's talk about information as a reader. So for me, I think this is going to be an interesting one because obviously everybody has a different take and a different approach. For me, very much, I don't ever believe in giving people information that is going to hinder them or hold them back. So if spirit are showing me something, I have to know the mechanics of what that's about, what that entails. And it's not so much about withholding information, because I don't actually tend to withhold much information. I think I've been very lucky actually with the readings I tend to do for people. Very often negative things, they don't really come up, because your spirit loved ones particularly, they want to enrich your heart, they want to enrich your life. So if you've got that genuine link with a family member, it's very unlikely they're going to tell you something negative or they're going to tell you something bad, because would they have done that in life? Usually, for the most part, they wouldn't have done. And so it doesn't really make sense that they would do that in the spirit world. And I think that's always when you've got a genuine link, when you're sort of having a reading. However, I have known of obviously situations where, not necessarily with my readings, but people have come to me and they've said, oh, I've been told this awful news. I remember a while ago, I went through a stage, I won't name the reader, but there was a pattern of this particular reader saying to people, she was doing this very often actually, telling people that their parents or one of the parents is going to part soon, is going to die soon. And that to me is completely pointless, because I don't think it's something that as mediums, as readers, we actually have clairvoyant access to. I really don't think we have, um, you know, we're not that necessarily powerful, and also the goalpost can move. Okay, so I don't think it's something even spirit can call sometimes, because we're all spirit in human form, and the only people that really know that is our higher sort of spiritual soul when it's ready to sort of sign off this life, if you like. But yeah, this was quite a few years ago now, there was a run of like people coming to me saying, I've been to this particular reader, they're saying that a parent's going to die, and literally they were like looking over their shoulder for the Grim Reaper. So it's not helpful, it can cause a lot of mental problems, it can just be very damaging. So there is a code of ethics. So as a reader, when we sort of read for people, there is a code of ethic, and it's mega important as professionals that we stand by that. And part of that code of ethic is that we never predict a death, okay? Because it is just something that we don't have clairvoyant access to. Even if in tarot, for instance, you get the death card come out, that really scares people, that really alarms people, because I can't speak, particularly if people have never had readings before, because you see the death card. I'm trying to find it in my deck a minute, and it can be quite scary. It can be quite alarming for people. Here it is, particularly if they're not used to it. They see that and they think instantly, oh my God, there's going to be a physical death. But actually, often with the death card, it's about renewal of something. It's about you've got to a point where something has become unsustainable. There's like an ending of something, a cycle has been reached. It's a bit like you're sort of at the ceiling point with something, and something has to change for something new, for something better. So death is often seen as a time of new beginnings. It's a time of rebirth. Very often it's a time to close off from those things that might be adding negativity, mental problems, whatever, just limiting your life and opening new doors that can sort of just offer peace. Because essentially, what death wants to bring in with this big sort of Tudor kind of rose is the energy of peace. That's actually the importance of the death card, and very often that gets overlooked when we're talking about it. So, code of conduct is mega actually, and a lot of readers don't even know that there's a code of conduct. They don't even know it exists. And it's really important you have a duty of care to those that you're reading for, whether you're reading one-to-one, whether you're reading on a big demo night. It's really, really important that, yes, we work for spirit, but we are very much aware of what we're saying, how we're saying it, what we're communicating to people, because you do have those people that will live off every word of what you say. And it's also really important to remember with readings of any kind that free will plays a massive part. So, in answer to the question, do we tell people anything bad? No, not necessarily, not really. Having said that, there are times when maybe spirit will give an indication of something, and in those situations, it's how you deliver the message. So, for instance, I've had it before where I've maybe been shown from spirit that a person is going through some health problems, and I might sort of say to them, have you been struggling? Have you felt a little bit uncomfortable recently in terms of health? And if they say yes, I may say it's advisable to maybe go to a doctor, because at the end of the day, we are not doctors. We cannot sort of advise on any medical issues anyway. So sometimes spirit will bring forward a little bit of a flash shot of something maybe not being quite right, and sort of a little bit of like an encouragement to maybe go and kind of get that checked out from professionals. And obviously then it's out of a medium's control once that's been said, but we've not watered it down, but we've given it in a very gentle, very delicate way, but with a sense of importance to the message. It's no good sort of saying to somebody, I feel like I'm seeing my sign for cancer, because you might be seeing that. That doesn't mean that the person necessarily even has cancer. They could just be, spirit work a lot with imagery, and they could just be putting that in to sort of, as a reader, make a person aware that there are some issues within an area, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go down that path or down that road. However, if left unattended, potentially there could be some sort of risks at a later point. So always as a reader, we have to be very aware, we have to be very cautious of what we're saying. So a genuine reader, when you go to them, you shouldn't ever hear anything really negative, or you shouldn't hear anything really bad. And like I say, if there was to be something, there are ways that we can word things. The other important thing to remember is we don't have x-ray vision. We're only shown and we're only guided by what the tarot gives us, or the tools of divination, and what spirit want to show us. And I think that's really important to remember, because I've had it before where people have gone to a reading and then something has happened a few days later, and actually people have messaged me saying, like, I'm really annoyed that you didn't pick up on that. I always remember, this was quite a few years ago now, there was a lady that came to me on the Saturday, and she had a really beautiful reading. I remember quite clearly she had her dad come through, and there was loads of great stuff and everything else. And then on the Monday she had a massive car crash. She was okay, but she messaged me and she was really angry, and she was like, Mitch, why didn't you tell me about this? And it simply was, I wasn't shown it. It didn't come up in any of the cards. There was no pre-warning of that, and sometimes things just happen. And not to go too into this message, but there were other reasons as to why that car crash happened. This particular lady at the time was using certain sort of substances, and there was this whole backstory of how her life was. So the car crash was actually really needed to sort of snap her out of this lifestyle, which was no good. So spirit cannot necessarily intervene with that. There was a higher life purpose, there was a higher life plan. And since having the car accident, it made her review her life, and she took ownership for something that she was in denial with. So sometimes we have to have experiences, even if they feel uncomfortable, even if they feel horrible. And sometimes, as mediums or as readers, we're just not shown stuff, we're only sort of shown the things they want us to talk about or the things they want us to see. And if I had said to that person, be careful, be cautious with your travel, it could well be that she may have put off having the appointment or going to that place that day, and that may not have happened, and she may have been still living in that slightly negative behavior or negative cycle of what she was doing. Basically, she was quite a heavy drinker, and it was a very disruptive lifestyle for her. So she needed to have that car accident to sort of snap her into the physical world a little bit more. So spirit work on many levels, many vibrations. It's a very deep thing. And I think it's also always remembering, and how I'd sort of try to be as a reader when I'm sort of doing readings for people, would I want to hear what's coming out? So when I'm sort of reading and I'm connecting with somebody, I try to always think myself, if I was hearing this piece of information, is it useful? Is it helpful? Does this add value? Does this matter to this person? Okay. And we can't always know, of course, but again, it goes back to code of conduct. There are things you can say, there are things that you can't. And those that have been properly trained, they know about this, and it makes kind of giving readings a much more pleasant and comfortable experience. Um, yeah, so I hope that that makes a little bit of sense, really. In terms of obviously like negative energies as well, um, when I do demos, people will bring forward their personality. So if you've got maybe a spirit that's linking in that was very grumbly, that was very negative in life, then the chances are they're still going to have that kind of way. They're still going to have those kind of mannerisms. So I won't ever sort of fluff it up. So if you've got somebody of a character like that, I will say to an audience member, this is how they seemed to be when they were alive, because otherwise it's no good saying to me, saying to an audience member, I've got someone here that's really fluffy, unicorns, marshmallows, if they weren't like that, because there's no evidence. So you have to keep it real in that way. But again, it's being aware of what you're saying and how you're wording it. So with any sort of form of reading, we have to have our own moral compass with stuff, but I try to keep my work ethical as well. So if somebody was a certain way, I won't sort of change that. I won't sort of fluff it up and say it was this when it actually wasn't. If someone was a little bit of a tricky character in life, they probably hold aspects of that. They might have calmed down a little bit, because often there tends to be a lot of healing in the spirit world, but there may still be attributes of that energy, if that makes sort of sense. But yeah, the importance of a reading with anybody you go to, whether it's myself or anybody else, you should always come away feeling empowered. You should always come away feeling better than when you first sat down in front of the reader. Now, that's not to say that you're going to have all your questions answered and everything figured out, because sometimes things have to just play out. Sometimes we don't have clairvoyant access to stuff. And I've done readings for some people where they've come with me, they've asked the questions, and it might show a few different sort of situations or scenarios, and sometimes they just have to work with that. But again, with any form of reading, we can't interfere with free will. I remember a little while ago now, there was a lady that's been desperate to find love, and she really wanted to find love, she really wanted to find the man of her dreams, and there was a real prominence. This was sort of last year, I think. There was a real prominence to October being mega important and a connection being reached. And So October came and October went, and then this lady messaged me and she said, Mitch, I'm really upset because nothing has happened. And I said, talk me through your October, what happened? And for the bulk of October, she was actually ill. She wasn't able to leave her house. She had some really, really bad, I think she possibly had COVID at the time, or like a really bad flu, and it knocked her off her feet for quite a few weeks. So her October was completely ruined. So because she didn't kind of get up off the sofa, everything that potentially energetic wise could have been available for her, she didn't get to experience it because her own free will. I'm not saying it's a good thing that she became ill, but her own free will moved the goalpost. So this is why it's really important to keep an open mind with readings, because things can change. Our own actions, our own behaviors can change what is potentially possible, both in a positive way, but sometimes it can be restrictive. But to go back to the original question, no, a genuine reader will never say or give negative information. And, someone's asked me as well within this question, do I hold back information? And I suppose there is a little bit of an editing process with Spirit. So, Spirit will only give stuff if they know there's a reason for it. So, what I tend to find is, say, if I was to leave something out, Spirit will then decide if that is important. And if they feel it is important, they will highlight that energy or that information to me and they will say, actually, that needs to be given as well. And if that needs to be given, I will then look very carefully at the wording and how I orchestrate that piece of information in to a reading, because like I say, we have to be very careful, we have to be very cautious, we just have to be very aware. There is a massive duty of responsibility as readers, and it's important, to obviously keep it real. But if I feel like something isn't needed or is not helpful, it's not so much not saying it because you want to sort of lie to a person. It's that might have to be explored naturally through free will. There's potentially no benefit for that person to know that. So we have to just be very, very careful with how we communicate stuff. It is important actually, because you will get some clients that live and breathe every single word of what you say to them. And of course, readings have to be acknowledged with an open mind and know that they can be open to interpretation and things can change, like I say, through our free will, but the free will of others. It's massive, it's a really big thing. So I hope this makes a little bit of sense. It's just a small little video today, but it's one that quite a few people keep asking me this question. So I wanted to try and tackle it for you guys. So I hope it helps. I hope it makes a bit of sense. If there is a question or something you would love to know about, drop me a message in the comments. And if I feel I'm sort of able to answer it, I will answer it for you. If it's a video I've already done, or if it's a question I've already covered, I might tag you in a pre-old video, but that's also cool, that's also fine, because its message will still be relevant. But going to leave it with you. Much love, stay well, and I will catch you very soon. Take care, bye for now.